as the Bills tally their 7th consecutive win. They've scored 30-plus points in each of the last 6. They start the season 6-0 at home for the first time since '91. That was a trip to the Super Bowl. Also, their 10th straight win following a bye week. 8 of those, most recent, have come under Sean McDermott, a division champ in Buffalo. All right, passing touchdown and receiving touchdown on the same play. Only has happened 5 times in the history of the sport. Something has to happen for it to happen. Haven't seen it since Marcus Mariota back in 2017, was a decade prior to that. These are rare moments, and how appropriate that it happens in the snow globe in Orchard Park. Back in the mix, Mac, this was a fun one for one side at least. All the things that make the Bills and Josh Allen great seem to be highlighted by this weather. Oftentimes, we talk about the weather bringing teams closer together. This one seemed to separate it. Was it one team embracing it? Where did you see the biggest difference?
No question, one team embraced it, and that's why I felt like understanding and knowing the Buffalo Bills will be in the midst of building a new stadium. You want to allow these elements to become a part of what you do in terms of being productive on the football field, because other teams can't handle these type of conditions when you get into December football. And tonight was a proven point in terms of what San Francisco could do and what they could not do. They were uncomfortable from start to finish, and they looked like Buffalo were playing a game in September. You didn't see any issues with the footing with Buffalo. You didn't see any issues with passes being thrown from their quarterback. But who did you see issues with? San Francisco. They were slipping and sliding from start to finish. The ball was coming out of Brock Purdy's hand. He didn't have a grip because they were not prepared for these kind of conditions. And Joe, you lived in Northern California. You cannot prepare for that. You don't get these type of elements, this type of snow and frigid temperatures out in Northern California when you talk about the comparison to what they played in tonight's game against Buffalo.
Born in some lake effect weather of Chicago, lived a little bit up in North Carolina. But you know, you're born in that
you
snow.
listen to some E40.
You feel that. I did. It was a good time up there. Not a good time for these 49ers right now. We'll get there in a second, but Josh Allen still continues to push that bar even further. Circumstance doesn't have to be perfect. Weather doesn't have to be perfect. He's continued to set himself apart and elevate everything around him. Almost makes me think of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The narrative coming into the season has been trounced in the biggest way by Buffalo, by Josh Allen, by these MVP-type moments. What's impressed you the most about the way that he's gone about his business this year?
Just how easy he makes it look. That's the thing about Josh Allen. He makes everything look easy, and he's always smiling. You know, that's the thing, too. I play with a guy by the name of Hines Ward who smiled all the time, and it bothered opposing defenders because it was almost like, bruh, this is easy for him. And the thing about Josh, he had 148 yards throwing, 3 total touchdowns. A very, very easy yet super impactful day. And also, no turnovers. In these type of conditions, one would think a fumble would happen, maybe a miscue on a pass, but this is a guy that's played smart, efficient football, and that's why we're seeing the type of production that we're seeing from number 17.
What do you chalk this up to? Because we got it on screen right now. This is improvisation.
This is improv.
But this is also a new player in this offense. Just about a month ago, Amari Cooper. The trust from player to player like that that's required to pull off improv.
And the thing about this with Amari Cooper, to your point, he's a new addition to Buffalo, but he understands Josh Allen is the quarterback, but when he gets the football in his hands, he's a running back. So he felt super comfortable in tossing him that lateral because he knew Josh Allen would most importantly secure the toss, but he knew what to do with the football when he got it in his hands. This is a team that's playing fun. They're enjoying themselves, and this is a team that really believes they can do some damage once they get into the playoffs. So look out. And I can tell you this much, Joe. I understand when you look at the seeding in the AFC, every game is meaningful right now because could you imagine having to go to Buffalo and play in these same conditions when it's all on the line? Not too many teams would sign up for that. You might have a few here or there. Kansas City, of course, you know, you look at what they've done playing on the road in postseason play. But the majority of the teams would not like those type of conditions, and that could be the scenario moving forward as they continue to win ball games.
A celebration of football in the elements here by Josh Allen and his offense, that Buffalo defense doing what was required of it as well. San Francisco, I've always said, they much like the Chiefs, now they don't have the Lombardis to show for it, but they've earned the benefit of our doubt, but there's more doubt than benefit right now when we're talking about the remainder of this season, all the attrition they've been dealt, losses by 25-plus points in back-to-back games for just the 4th time in franchise history. This is not what we've come to expect from the San Francisco 49ers. Do you see a path, or is this the point where we sit and we say, a bridge too far?
As you spoke in terms of, do I see a path? I'm looking at the standings right now. I still see a path. They still have light there in their tunnel. Number one, you have to get healthy. We don't know exactly the status of CMC. Hopefully, Trent Williams can get back to being in uniform. That would be ideal. But when you look at their standings right now, they're dead last in the NFC West. They're 5-7, right? Seattle is 7-5. Arizona and Los Angeles, they're tied 6-6. So you still have an opportunity, and you still have some divisional games left to be played where you can kind of add some losses to key components in your division that you're competing against. So they still have a shot, because looking at their schedule, you would think 5-7. No, you don't. But because there's a traffic jam of light teams in their division, they can still win their division. They still can win their division.
It's in front of them.
Yes.
They got the Bears coming next week.
That is a must-win.
That's a must-win against the Bears at home.
Yeah.
They got the Rams, which is always a hard-fought battle between those divisional opponents the week following. A trip to the Dolphins. That'll be a weather change as well. Maybe some late-season heat, followed by the Lions and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Those 2 games at the end of the season could define all that this season could be for the San Francisco.
They have 2 divisional games left on the schedule with the Rams and the Cardinals. You got to win that. But none of that matters if you lose, I think, to against Chicago, next week. So that is the first step in the right direction, beat Chicago.
You will also have a Chicago team playing with an interim head coach, and that could be a value add for that group. That much has been said about what was happening inside that locker room. Maybe a little extra juice from Chicago in that away performance, but a must-win for San Francisco. And that can be said for the rest of the games for San Francisco. Best 12 game starts by the Bills. 10-2, second to only 1988, matching those teams from the 90s that got there but couldn't get it. We'll see what lies ahead of this Buffalo team. Could it be an MVP? Could it be a trip to the Super Bowl? Maybe even that sticky Lombardi.